riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. Here's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am your host, Garrett Harvey. With me, as always, co-host to the stars, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how are you?
Doing great. Got a great album this week.
I know this one's near and dear to you, so I won't hesitate. What album are we doing this week?
We are doing Rage Against the Machine's 1992 album, Rage Against the Machine.
We're doing Rage. Tim, let me ask you, do you hate this album?
I don't think I hate it. Or at least, I'm reluctant to say that I hate this album. No, I don't think so. I don't think I hate it.
Wow.
But do you hate it?
Do I hate it? No.
Oh.
I don't hate this album. I don't hate it at all, Tim. You know who I hate?
Who's that?
Zach De La Rocha.
Yeah, that is fair and just, I think.
I really hate Zach De La Rocha. I hate his voice. I hate the things he says. I hate...
His culture?
No.
Oh.
Easy.
Well, that's an important part of who he is. He will let you know
I feel like
that.
he's culturing wrong. Is this your first time hearing this album?
No, absolutely not. I owned this as an 11 to 12-year-old.
Hold on. Let me stop you right there.
Oh, right.
You just said I owned it as an 11 and 12-year-old. But you definitely kept listening to it.
Oh, yeah. I listened to this for probably not a decade. I probably listened to this until 2003. I know. And here's the thing. I remember loving it, or at least really liking it. I listened to this so much. I knew every word on this album. I mean, I haven't listened to this in 15 years. I have no reason to ever put this on. I knew every word. This is like my Smash Mouth, except I was well aware that I loved it. I remember as a 13-year-old, maybe.
A young spry lad.
Yeah, I was pretty sure, again, I am a white middle-class kid, I related to this so well. I am ashamed of that.
I don't know, you have every right to be. I have so many theories as to why it is a young Tim would enjoy such an album. So I won't dwell on it here, but I don't think you're wrong to have enjoyed it when you did. You're 100% wrong to have enjoyed it as long as you did.
That's fair. A small side note, I purchased this in Saudi Arabia whenever I lived there.
How?
Well, that's the thing. They censored tons of music. But this album, which seems to openly call for revolution against the government, that's fine.
Now, I've never lived in Saudi Arabia, so you tell me. They're anti that, right?
They are anti-losing power.
Hostile revolution, they come down firmly on that.
Yeah, they're pathologically against losing power, actually, I think.
Well put.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think so.
Was this your first time to hear the music of Rage Against the Machine?
The history of me and Rage begins a week ago.
Really?
Yeah, I know Bulls on Parade. That is it.
That's awesome.
I don't like their music. I never liked it. Yes, this was my first foray, and I didn't much care for it. Okay, let's talk a little bit about how this band came to be. And I don't know how detailed you want to get here, Tim. Normally we go back to the origin, but these guys had so much success so early that their story is sort of inconsequential.
Yeah, I think we can give a couple of fun key facts.
Sure.
Let's start with the two guys that are basically inconsequential, although they're, the basis of the music here. You have Tim Comerford. He's the bassist, and he's the member of the band that loves giving himself stupid nicknames. He is the J-Devil of this group.
Some would argue the Tim of the group.
Well, I don't give myself the nicknames. I give other people nicknames. Anyway, his go-to nickname on at least one album was Y Tim K. Then we have... Yep.
Tim, do you want me to call you Y Tim K?
I do. Would you call me Y Tim K?
Nope.
Anyway.
You know what? Right now is a great time to say, we would love to see more reviews, and I have heard from a few people that say, I don't know what to write. So, get in there. If you don't know what to write in the review, but you want to write something because you want to help out the show, it's a simple way to do it. It takes 2 seconds. Go into your iTunes, your Googles, your Stitchers, your Spotifys, and just say, Why Tim K?
So then we have the drummer, Brad Wilk. This man is notable only as the band member who A, has diabetes, and B, is an up-and-coming artificial sweetener mogul, which I have to say doesn't really go well with the aesthetic on this album.
What are you talking about?
He was unsatisfied with the quality of artificial sweeteners, given his diabetes, and so he has started his own artificial sweetener company.
Okay.
And then we have the other two. You have Tom Morello. He went to Harvard and majored in political science or social studies or something to that effect. I wasn't aware you could major in social studies, but he was born in Harlem, grew up in Chicago. His dad participated in a Kenyan uprising and then served as Kenya's first ambassador to the UN, so it sounds like a pretty successful uprising.
Yeah.
Also of note, our great-uncle was the first elected president in Kenyan history.
Yeah, but whose wasn't, right?
Yours wasn't.
Maybe I misheard you. Did you say the first elected president in Kenya?
Yes.
No. Mine was that.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. So he was co-first president with your great-uncle on your dad's side of Kenya.
I'm sure you don't have a year.
I don't, no.
It used to happen all the time.
Okay, fair enough. And then we have Zacharias de la Rocha.
Tim, before we go any further on this asshole, we cannot address him in this long, ridiculous name, but Zach or Zachary doesn't sound right.
No.
So I gave him the acronym Zedler. I know I'm stepping on your territory here, but I propose we give him the nickname Zedler.
So Zedler was...
It's a great name, actually.
It is.
Folks, if you have a new dog or cat and you're looking for a name, Zedler.
Yeah.
That's a great name.
If you see Garrett on the street, feel free to call him Zedler, or shout Zedler at him, or chase him screaming Zedler. Anyway, Zedler is from East LA until he was 6 years old when his parents divorced. He moved to Irvine with his mom while she got a PhD in anthropology. His dad was a Chicano heritage muralist, and his grandfather was a Mexican revolutionary. He met Tim K in elementary school, and they started playing music together. This all came together, as you alluded to earlier, very quickly. Within 1 to 1.5 years of all four of these guys deciding to be in a band together, they had released this album, which is honestly pretty impressive.
It's amazing.
The other thing that's kind of interesting about this is they started at the tail end of the first Bush administration, and basically their musical run from 92 to 99, that's the Clinton administration, right?
Right.
So I'm not saying that Clinton didn't murder thousands of people, and he definitely deserved his share of protest, but that seems like a very weird place for the people that are espousing these kind of ideas to stop.
You've brought me to my first theory. Zedler may be the first known time traveler. All of his complaints seem to be placed almost entirely in the past.
Yes.
Is it possible that Zedler has been traveling through time to determine the point in American history that led us to President Baby, and he has determined that it is this year when he released this album that he must begin the protest in order to change the future that you and I are living through today?
He's a time traveler. I'll go with you.
Thank you.
I do still like the idea that they saw the election of Bush the Lesser coming and thought, well, our work's done. It's going to be smooth sailing from 2000 on.
Guys, we did it. We did it. Okay, so to summarize, the band forms with the actual lineup in 1991 in Los Angeles, and by, as we mentioned, November 3rd, 1992, they have a hit record, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Musically, do you have problems with this album?
So completely excluding the vocals,
Yes.
just the instruments being played. No, I don't have a problem with this at all.
Okay, yeah, it's fine. It's technically very accomplished.
I like every one of those guitar solos. I like every one of them. Assuming that he isn't, in fact, a time traveler, these guys laid the egg that is nu metal in the brains of these guys when they were 14, 15 years old. So you get your Korns, your Tools, your PODs, your... Who am I leaving out?
It doesn't matter. They're all garbage.
Right. They're all
So
interchangeable.
bad. Yeah.
And I'll even place Evanescence at their feet. Thanks for that.
They made this record very sincerely. They were trying to make a record about revolution, socialism, rebellion, Black Panthers, police violence, violence, racism, etc.
Yeah.
We'll get into all of that.
A socially relevant album.
Right. Because they mean this to inspire people to, like, whatever political causes. Yeah, violent revolution against the government. It's unclear what the overarching message here is. But they didn't really accomplish what they meant to. That was their intentions.
They made an Underworld soundtrack.
Yeah. I would argue that the main effect on the people that were listening to this is that it was a bunch of middle-class white kids, Tims, if you will, Tim K's, buying this and hearing, like, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. And they were like, yeah, that's right, fuck you, Mom. Rage Against the Machine said I can do what I want, and I want to stay up past 10. Like,
so many lawns went unmowed, so much laundry went on. So many boys went to school with soiled britches those days.
Yeah, well done, Zedler. That has to be really fucking depressing for them.
I doubt they have the self-awareness to understand it. I don't know what it is. I don't know who they're overthrowing, and it's unclear why. So,
you want to talk about the album art for a minute here? Because it's...
I think we have to.
Yeah.
So, the moment you see this thing, you know you're in for a big old boatload of fun.
Yeah.
Nothing screams fun album like a dude setting himself on fire.
So the album art famously features a monk burning himself to death. Thich Quang Duc, Thich Can Duc, I don't know how to say his name. He lit himself on fire in Saigon in 1963 to protest the South Vietnamese government. And those of you familiar with this type of protest will see the similarities between this and performance artist Pyotr Pavlensky in Russia, nailing his scrotum to the ground in Moscow.
Wait, what?
Yeah. You remember the guy?
No, hold on. What in the fuck are you talking about?
So there was a guy...
What does a guy lighting himself on fire have to do with your buddy nailing his scrotum to a board? What does that have to do with it?
Well, they were protesting the government by doing gross stuff to themselves.
I don't...
My point is...
I think that's the same at all.
My point is they are on the same level.
Oh, right. They're not.
Oh.
You are insulting entire countries right now, I think.
Oh. I apologize to the people of South Vietnam. But yeah, so this photo once made JFK shout... What?
They don't call themselves South Vietnam anymore.
No, I know. I'm not apologizing to the North. Anyway.
God, you hold a grudge.
Yeah. This photo once made JFK shout, Jesus Christ, and leave the room whenever he was shown it.
I threw up in my hat.
Yeah, just a fun little side note. He was then reset on fire for cremation.
Who paid for that? Why are you burning a burnt person?
It's unclear. We should also address this is a album that has only 10 songs.
Yeah,
it
has been
so long.
It's so Tim, I was so excited. We've had some really tough ones lately. You know how rare it is. Well, you know. But let me just tell the folks at home how rare it is to see 10 songs. I read they had self-released essentially what is this album 6 months prior or something. And they actually took songs off because they decided they weren't good enough. So for that, I say thank you.
Yeah.
But holy fucking shit, man. Not every song has to be 5.5 minutes. In fact, I would argue most shouldn't be.
Right.
And if you're on this album, all should not be.
Yeah. It could really just be significantly shortened if they just took out all of the repeated lines, random screaming, or the uhs.
Oh, man. So many uhs.
Yeah.
So many uhs, so many huhs. You won't believe this when I say it now, but by the end of the song by song, I will have sung almost every single word on the album. The difference being, I will not repeat verses 16 or 17 times, making this album's length exactly 1/2 page single-spaced.
Song by song?
Let's dig into these songs. Track number 1, Tim, we got a bomb track.
This is so nuanced and subtle.
What?
They get their message across without just beating you over the head with it.
So it starts with some opening riffs that I really like, but then the very first vocal of the whole album, this sets the table, if you will. And do you know what that word is, Tim?
Please enlighten me.
Why?
You see, Zedler is afraid that if he is not constantly making noise, you will think that this is a metal band, and he's not in it.
You know what? You're probably right. So I'd like to talk about the title of this song. This is unlike me. I don't typically rub shoulders with the scum that is Genius Lyrics. But I did a little bit of digging. And right up top, now, I think anybody with ears and half of a brain can probably guess what bomb track means. Would you care to give your best explanation, Tim?
This is some sort of dope track?
Interesting choice of words. Somebody has decided to give you a definition. Would you like to hear it?
I would love to.
The definition is a bomb track is a dope track. So that got me thinking, if I don't know what a bomb track is, what are the odds that I know what a dope track is? But luckily, the people at Genius Lyrics had me covered. They link to Urban Dictionary with a definition of the word dope. And this is where things get really interesting. I would like to read for you, if I may, the definition of dope. Because much like you'll find in a traditional Merriam-Webster's, there are multiple definitions of the word depending on context and usage. From the newest source to the podcast, Urban Dictionary, I give you the definition of dope. People who do not do drugs call marijuana dope. People who do marijuana call heroin dope. Word has also been used to describe how something is good.
Then they go on to give you example sentences using the word in each one of its appropriate contexts.
Don't be smoking dope, aka marijuana. Oh my god, I smoke green, but I don't do no dope, aka heroin. And man, that car is dope. This is a song titled Great Song, and then the content of the song is about how great the song is.
Yes.
So, how do you know if the song is good if the only topic of the song is how good the song is?
I think you've answered your own question there.
You're right, I apologize. No reason to dwell on that. Tim, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Am I gonna burn?
You are gonna burn. Yes, Garrett. Yes, you're gonna burn. Burn, burn. Yes, you're gonna burn.
You said that roughly 22 times less than Zedler does in this song.
Yeah.
That's right. You get burn, burn, yes, you're gonna burn 3 times, times 8.
That's too many times. And he does then cap it off with just a... like
I called it a T-Rex roar.
I called it hulking out, but yeah.
Okay, I apologize. I'm putting a lot on your shoulders, but you are the resident rage head of the group here. Who are the suits?
I think they are the people that are... First, they're the people, obviously, that are not in this band. It could be extended, I think, to any of them.
I'm going to need a slightly more specific answer than the people not in the band.
I mean, they're anyone in charge of anything, I think.
Okay. Okay. Because he doesn't really ever get down to it.
That's true.
Okay, so I would say that one of the things that stood out to me is how principled this band is. They stand up for a lot. Specifically, they wanted this album to mean something, be socially relevant, as we discussed, and most importantly, reflect that this is a different sort of band, not willing to sell out. Would you say that's an accurate statement?
Yeah.
Okay, this song was featured as the theme song for ECW wrestler John Michael Watson, also known as Mikey Shipwreck.
It's a good name.
It is a great name, and Mikey, if you're out there, reach out to the show. We'd love to have you on. But I would have thought that they would not want to license their music to something as trivial as theater with men in their underpants.
Yeah, it would seem so, but we'll get to that on the very next song.
Fair enough. Excellent segue, Tim. Would you like to move it along?
Yeah, absolutely. Song number 2, Killing in the Name. This starts out with some pretty great cowbell, right?
It does. Cowbell is weirdly a theme in this entire album.
This is the most repetitive song I've ever heard, I think, right?
I did some calculations. I ran the numbers. I collected the figures, brought it into the Why I Hate This Album labs.
We have labs.
And I've come up with with the labs. The Why I Hate This Album labs. The podcast labs we just opened. Anyway, I'm going to read some lines to you. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. That is said 8 times.
Makes sense.
Killing in the name. That is said 5 times. Now you do what they told you. Do you know how many times that's said?
17.
13. You idiot. 17 would sound terrible. The chorus is said twice. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. I know you know how many times that's said.
17.
16.
Wow. Closer.
I have read the entire song to you.
Now, keeping all that in mind, Garrett.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Did you know that this was the first single off this album? They chose
This is the one that got everyone excited about it.
Yes, and people love this song. Genius Lyrics actually has how many people have viewed each one of the lyric sections. This one is 10 times any other one.
There's nothing to look at.
I understand this.
This song was written as a response to the Rodney King beatings. For any of you not old enough to know what that is, Rodney King took a bunch of PCP, drove through Los Angeles, as you do on PCP, not stopping. And when he finally did stop, he was surrounded by many, many policemen and beaten savagely until he was almost dead. And then consequently, all of those policemen who happened to be white did not go to jail for it.
Makes sense. This song, I mean, it is, again, it's in large part about police brutality, and I don't think either of us would argue that that's not a huge problem in this country. However, if you take the line, "fuck you, I won't do what you tell me," to heart, gonna have a bad time when dealing with police.
Yeah, let me tell you, that is no way to start a relationship with an officer. I would recommend just a couple of minor tweaks to that statement, and you guys are going to start off on a much better foot. Perhaps more of a, instead of "fuck you," what about "howdy"? And "I won't do what you tell me" could possibly be "how may I be of service?"
Yeah, I will do exactly what you tell me to do, sir.
Boy, it's going to be hard to fit it, but, we're just spitballing here. Yeah, absolutely. That's no way to interact with your local police. I don't want to trivialize the fact that it does seem as though police just shoot people for no apparent reason a lot.
Yeah.
Arguably more so than when this was written. Once again, kind of, making me wonder, what if it's more of a quantum leap situation? So it's not necessarily Zedler who's the time traveler, but his body was occupied by somebody who travels through time, righting wrongs. Boy, what wrong could possibly be righted with the invention of nu metal?
It's possible the future of rock music was far worse than nu metal, and this
than you and I could ever know.
Right, yeah, this was the bridge to get us to something acceptable, but it just had to happen.
I think we're technically writing Bill and Ted's. Let's move it along then to track number 3, Take the Power Back. Is it just me? And maybe it's just my age, but if you come in with a funky bass line at the start of any song, I don't care what it is, even if I love it, all I'm thinking about is Night Court.
I do like the guitar solos throughout this one. You're 100% right. Tom Morello's a very good guitar player, and whenever he plays a traditional guitar solo, it's great.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, the rest of the time, Zedler's grunting, and I don't want to harp on it any further, so I want to address it here, and then maybe we can put it down. The grunts and the huzz, it's throughout the whole album, so I'm going to try to refrain from this point forward to continue to bring it up. Just know that every single track on this album is chock full of hush, shits, and uhs.
It is very distracting. I'm trying to enjoy the music, and this dude's grunting in my ears.
I have heard this is a problem in other arenas as well. Now, you and I aren't going to know firsthand because we are both obviously pure of heart, soul, and mind, but I have heard pornography in recent years also has a lot of grunting, and I've heard that can be distracting as well. Yeah,
I don't have no way of knowing.
Absolutely. I mean, where would even you find such a thing? Obviously, I wouldn't know. Do you know?
I don't. I have no idea. And I want to stress that because my mother listens to this podcast.
First of all, that should stop.
Well,
you've already said way too much.
That's fair.
So we get "No More Lies" screamed in our ears 8 times at the end of this song, followed by "Take It Back, Y'all." Tim, let me stop there for a moment. Let me ask you a question. When he says "Take It Back, Y'all," what is it?
I don't know.
Let me take a left-hand turn, if I may, because we live in a world of fake news. Are you familiar with this, Tim? Have you heard about the fake news?
I have not.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad we brought this up. I feel like I need to point out something that he espouses in here that is almost certainly fake news. And I quote, "The movement's in motion with mass militant poetry. No movement has ever begun nor will begin to move from mass militant poetry.
Yeah.
Do not bring mass militant poetry to any fight. You're not going to win anyone to your side with militant poetry. If anything, you're only going to bolster your enemies with that kind of behavior."
That's true. I have destroyed many a man for his poetry.
What does that mean?
There's a line in here, "like a motherfucking weatherman." And I remember hearing this. And honestly, for about 2 years, I'd never heard of the weatherman. And I kept thinking, why is he so angry at meteorologists, Garrett?
Because they're so inaccurate, Tim.
I guess.
This song is entirely too long at 5 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. Every one of these songs is too long. They're all 3 minutes too long.
I cannot bring it up.
I know, but please try.
The last thing I want to say about this track is, has anything good ever followed the statement, "Now check this shit out"? Literally ever in the history of humanity?
I can't think of any, but it seems unreasonable to say that nothing ever has.
Write in HatePodMail@gmail.com. I would love to hear if "check this shit out" was ever followed by something that was actually worth either checking out or went as that person thought it would.
Tim, let's keep this crazy train rolling.
Number 4, "Settle for Nothing."
I really enjoy the kind of creeping musical intro to this.
Yeah, I have no problem with that at all.
Yeah.
You know what my biggest complaint with this song is?
Is it that he shouts suicide and genocide over and over again?
Nope.
Oh.
You'd think it would be, but I have different expectations on this album. No, my biggest issue with this particular song is that it's like watching a fucking action movie in the 80s on VHS. 1 minute, I'm like, huh? What is he saying? And then the next minute, he's screaming in my ears.
Yeah, they do alternate whispering and screaming. Can I read to you a few lyrics here?
I think you have to.
A jail cell is freedom from the pain in my home. Hatred passed on, and passed on. A world of violent rage, but it's one that I can recognize, having never seen the color of my father's eyes. How did I relate to this, Garrett? Why did I think I related to this?
I have no idea. No, I don't know. You've definitely seen the color of your father's eyes.
A jail cell is technically freedom from the pain in my home, though, but that is all self-inflicted pain. I live alone. It's so painful.
You're so sad. I think shortly after that is the line, and now I have a name. This line, every single time, makes me think of Father of Mine by Everclear. My daddy gave me a name.
Yeah, stay tuned, folks.
Well, yeah.
We mentioned before, we like the guitar solos, the Tom Morello parts in this. Small caveat here. There's a really strange kind of noodling guitar solo about halfway through this song that, while it's not a bad guitar solo in and of itself, it makes no sense whatsoever in this song.
I agree. It couldn't match it less. And that's saying a lot, because a lot of these solos don't make any sense in the song they're in, because it's clear that all the music was written with no consideration whatsoever for the shouting idiot over it. Okay, let's play a fun game, Tim. Boy, I really crunched... Well, I didn't crunch the numbers. I sent the numbers out. The lab crunched the numbers. Would you care to guess how many words are in this song?
17.
Well, okay. You know, this isn't fun if you don't make an effort.
It's always 17. Let's say 120.
That's a good guess. I'm going to tell you, and it's more, but I want everyone to keep in mind, it's not a lot more. It's 177 words.
How long is this song, Garrett?
4 minutes and 46 seconds.
It's too few words.
I can say 177 words casually while drinking a Diet Cola in about 40 seconds.
Eminem
could say it in the time it takes me to inhale. So what is he doing?
He's screaming suicide and genocide and then suicide again and then maybe another suicide and then a genocide. Because, you know, subtlety.
That is at least twice the genocide this song has. Care to move on?
Number 5, Bullet in the Head.
Tim, I'm going to need you to check it out.
I did. Couldn't stop.
And what'd you think?
It's not very good.
This song has a very bizarre instrumental break in it, doesn't it?
Well, there's a lot of weird instrumental stuff in this. You've got an air raid guitar. I think this is the first one that has it.
So we're halfway through the album. This is song number 5, and this was the point at which I asked, how is this guy not on a 24-hour suicide watch today? The abuse of citizens' rights seems to be increasing exponentially by our own government, not to mention all that creepy shit you heard rumors about them doing. Turns out they're doing it 24/7 around the world. I don't know how this guy's able to get out of bed anymore. If he was upset in 1992, dude, do not get on Twitter. Somebody needs to make sure he's okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to be the one to do that.
No, I don't want to talk to him. He sounds like a pretentious cunt.
Yeah.
This whole song to me feels like a fucking improv exercise. You could tell that they wrote the music, and then there's a bunch of these filler yeahs and check this shit out.
Now,
and
it's interesting that you say that, though, because you're saying that there's no meaning to the uhs and the yeahs and the fucks, right?
Correct.
Okay, let me read to you a genius annotation for the line, yeah, fuck. Somebody wrote, if this instrumental transition doesn't make you hype as fuck, you got a bullet in your head.
Basically, Whose Line Is It Anyway episode. Personally, I would rather tune in and listen to Wayne Brady make up a song about working at the aquarium.
That sounds delightful. I did some math on this one. You got a bullet in your head is repeated 17 times in a row, which is then followed by, you got a bullet in your fucking head, yeah! And that it reminds me of why Howard Dean was never president.
It is very Howard Dean-esque. For the many of you that probably have no idea what we're talking about, Google why Howard Dean lost the nomination for president. And you will see a grown man lose his mind in front of thousands of people that up until that exact moment when he behaves so insanely that every single person that saw it just went, oh no, we can't let that man be in charge of anything. And we all know who we eventually let be in charge of things, so boy, it was a different time. Once again, I have to question if Zach De La Rocha, Zedler, was this upset with the state of the world in 1992. It is a shock that no one has found him hanging in a closet yet.
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true.
It's probably easier, though, when you have, like, millions of dollars.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's sort of the thing. Whenever they made this album, they were dirt poor. Like, the day that this came out, it's hard to accuse them of being hypocritical. Very soon after this, it's not, when they started licensing these songs to wrestlers or shipwrecks or something. I think I hate this album.
But we're halfway through.
Yeah.
Let's power on. Ready? Number 6. Know Your Enemy, featuring the one, the only, Maynard James Keenan of Tool fame.
He insists on saying that this song is also a bomb track, and that it really makes the first bomb track much less special.
You think?
I
It kind of
think it
detracts
does,
from that
yeah.
original bomb
Yeah.
track? If anything, I would think that this one would be less of a bomb track in your eyes, since the first one originally was introduced to you as the bomb track, and now you're being told this new one is also a bomb track.
Well, yeah, no, whenever I'm told this new one is also a bomb track, I think, well, maybe that other one wasn't such a bomb track.
Oh, okay, I see. I would just be like, well, that first one easily was a bomb track, because, you know, all throughout the song, he talked about how much of a bomb track it was. But, Tim, can I ask you a question? I'm sorry. I want to just take a moment.
Oh, please do.
Am I going to burn?
You are gonna burn, Garrett. Burn, burn. Yes, you're gonna burn.
That is so sad to hear. All right, moving along. I originally thought this sounded like Smoke on the Water. I did more digging. While it sounds similar, if you would like to hear a song that sounds exactly like this song, to the point where you might say, I think some money might be owed, then do a little Googling of Mr. Edgar Winter's Frankenstein. It is this song. The reason they get away with it is because, well, twofold. One, no one knows who fucking Edgar Winter is. And two, when you find out who Edgar Winter is, you are off-put by the fact that he is a long-haired albino man. And nobody trusts them.
No. Well, there's Greg Allman.
Oh, no. This makes Greg Allman look like Ricky Martin.
Let me give you some lyrics here. You got to know that when I say go, 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 we don't need the key, we'll break in. The genius annotation. When Zach says it's time to rebel, we have to rebel. Get loud and kick the door in. There are so many genius annotations just like this that are just fucking, let's do it. Okay, Zach, Zedler. We're all amped up. What do we do?
Fight the suits, guys.
Yeah. And then I want to specify what I think is almost certainly your favorite line on this. Of course it's mine. With the D, the E, the F, the I, the A, the N, the C, the E, mind of a revolutionary.
That's right. Unless you are covering Schoolhouse Rock, do not, under any circumstances, sing spell.
It's the most egregious example, I think, that we've had on this show of this spelling nonsense.
If you haven't heard the album and you're having difficulty understanding, let's do a little role-playing, Tim, to help people understand. Hey, Tim, I just wrote a new song. That's pretty cool, right?
That's great, Garrett. May I hear some of it?
Sure, but I don't have it recorded yet, but here's some tidbits. About halfway through, I'm going to spell out the word defiance.
We're not recording that song. Oh. You know what? No.
But Tim,
nope.
We're still friends, though.
Nope, right? We're not. We're not friends. We're not in a band together. You know what? Just no.
I was supposed to be the best man in your wedding.
Yeah, but I'm kind of afraid you're going to spell the word defiance in your speech, so...
Well, I could take it out.
You can't. I don't believe that you can.
There it is, guys. Yeah, friendship absolved.
Again, you mentioned this, Maynard James Keenan or something, the Tool guy.
Yes. If you're curious where his contribution is, when somebody comes snuffleupagussing into the song, he goes, I have no patience now.
Yeah.
The heroin addict, that is Maynard James Keenan. And he is not. Maynard, you know what? This is going to be really out of character for me. Interesting guy. Tool, I have no interest in, and that's a big fat stay tuned. But interesting dude. Started his own vineyard, has a bunch of restaurants. Interesting guy. Music, not so much. But his contribution to this is just horrible. They turn into some sort of barbershop quartet.
Yeah, it's this weird...
Try to harmonize.
Yeah, this weird, like, laid-back, loungy thing.
The end of the song is, for me, a high point on the album.
I agree.
He has like 2 moments in the entire album for me where Zedler shines.
So he lists a couple of things: compromise, conformity, assimilation, submission, ignorance, hypocrisy, the elite. And then he repeats, all of which are American dreams, I think maybe 8 times. It is the one time on this album that being repeated fucking works.
It is the only time where it is as relevant, powerful, and provocative as he actually thinks he is being.
Yeah, it's great.
Congratulations. We are willing to hand out compliments here. We want to like your album.
We'll try and get another compliment in there, but no promises.
Yeah, they don't make it easy, do they? Ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right, track number 7, Wake Up. Or as it used to be known, Kashmir by Led Zeppelin. Yeah. What in the holy fuck, dude? Making it worse, I can't hear Kashmir by Led Zeppelin without thinking about that terrible P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs cover. I don't know if you remember that. He raps over Kashmir. Jimmy Page played guitar next to him.
Yeah.
And then I start thinking about that goddamn Godzilla movie and Matthew Broderick, and I get even more angry. That movie's horrible.
Yeah, but chink about Matthew Broderick.
Did you say chink about?
Think about Matthew Broderick shouting "Wake up" over and over and over again at you. Gets a little better, maybe?
No, that movie's shitty.
This song has lines in it. You know they murdered X and tried to blame it on Islam. I didn't know much about Malcolm X, but I'm pretty sure that the Nation of Islam murdered him, right?
Yes.
I think all 3 gunmen were known members of the Nation of Islam.
This is probably the most egregious claim on the album.
Yeah, he told interviewers that he believed the Nation of Islam was actively trying to kill him.
He did. He was pretty concerned about it.
In this song, he does do something that I do like. He starts to read the FBI's COINTELPRO documents and quoting Edgar Hoover.
So for me, this is the other high point.
Yeah.
It's the J. Edgar Hoover counterintelligence program set up to help infiltrate the Black Panthers. And he reads it over the music to good effect. It sounds cool. It's creepy as all get out. And here I'm going to hand out another compliment. Look at me. This sent me down a weird rabbit hole on J. Edgar Hoover. Guys, if you don't feel like listening to this album, don't listen to what we have to say about it and forget about it. But do spend some time researching J. Edgar Hoover. Interesting guy. Did you know he was the head of the FBI for like 48 years?
I was aware, yes.
How did you know?
Well, I think that he had dirt on anyone that could take him out of power.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What they could have done with this song that would have made it much better is if they listed current day things that were analogous to the COINTELPRO program or J. Edgar Hoover's horrific abuse of power, and then you tie the 2 together, right? Painting a picture of this is a long-running thing. But they don't. They don't do that. That would have been effective.
Yeah. Once again, pointing to the idea that this guy might have written this song, before he made the next leap.
Yeah.
I'm really starting to like this quantum leap theory.
This was the song, I think, that every time I listened to this, I was really fatigued with it at this point.
As is often the case, track number 7 is not where you put your best song.
No.
We're sitting here making fun of Zedler, but if our country does in fact fall at the hands of President Baby, we're going to owe Zedler a huge apology. Because he warned us years ago and we did not listen.
No.
So from that standpoint, it actually did make me a touch uneasy. He didn't realize what he was singing about at the time, or maybe he did.
Number 8, Fistful of Steel. This is the one that is the worst offender with the air raid sounding guitars. I think you...
Yes, it sounds like an angry mewing kitten. I would also describe it as the last note of a sweet guitar solo, but just played over and over and over. Earlier I said I don't hate this album because I hate Zedler. However, when this song comes on, then I hate this album.
Yeah.
At least for this song, I hate this album. And, I'm starting to feel like I might hate this album.
Yeah. It does, what's the opposite of grow on you?
Hollows you out?
There it is. That's the stuff. Let me read some lyrics.
Hold on.
Okay.
Before you do, and you'll understand why, I would like to start a new segment in which we determine whether or not this song would work better as a Cake song. That is a song written and performed by the band Cake. For your consideration, first I will just read the lines as non-Cake-like as humanly possible. Groovin', playing this game called survival. The status, the elite, the enemy, the rival. Now,
I already hear it, but go ahead.
Well, of course you do. Now I will give you my best cake performance. Groovin', playin', the game called survival, the status, the elite, the enemy, the rival. I submit to you, Tim.
I like this cake song.
This cake song is pretty good.
Yeah.
This Rage Against the Machine song, unfortunately, is a giant flaming sack of poop. But the cake song is not bad. And I think for the inaugural, would this be better as a cake song, we can say yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wish I had thought of it sooner because there were other candidates in previous episodes, but I love to introduce a new segment.
I like it. Here's some genius annotations. Wit a fist full of steel. Steel is an alloy of iron and carbon that is widely used for buildings, bridges, and support because of its tensile strength, hardness, tendency to resist environmental degradation.
That's not why.
Okay, hold on. He brings it back around. Throughout his work, he argues that if authority is not questioned, it has the tendency to become corrupt. De La Rocha knows this and says that he will continue to ask questions and educate the society through his microphone. His will to do this is as unbreakable as the metaphorical hand he grips the mic with.
The hand is not the metaphor. The fistful of steel is. His hand is actually being implemented. That part isn't the metaphor.
All right. And if the vibe was suicide, then you would push the button. But if you're bowing down, then let me do the cuttin'. Genius annotation. Conformists will do anything as long as it is trendy or socially encouraged. And if you are that much of a pawn to the masses, I'd rather do the cuttin' myself. I don't know what any of that means.
So, if I understand correctly, basically he's saying, say bro, if you're going to kill yourself, can I do it?
I like it. He's a timid sociopath.
A polite sociopath.
Yeah.
This song is much like the earlier songs in which he sings a song about how great the song he's singing is. In this song, it is a defiant anthem about a defiant anthem that he is going to write. The whole song is about how he's willing to take to his fistful of steel.
That's true.
He's not actually
right. This isn't the anthem. This is a promise of an anthem to come.
Right. This is a song about a song he's going to write. This is stupid. America was hoodwinked by a time master. You'd expect this sort of thing from a mind freak, but not an enlightened time traveler, possibly caught in a quantum leap scenario. I don't want to rule that out.
Hashtag America was hoodwinked by a time master.
We've got to work on your hashtag. I know they doubled the length of the character count, but that's still too long, friend.
Yeah, well, I think I'm done with this song.
Yeah, you know what? Why drag it out? Track number 9, Township Rebellion.
Musically, this song started with a different enough feel to me that I was tricked into thinking it was going to be something different. It starts off, the intro is sort of in a different style from the typical heavy metal.
Okay.
And then it devolves back into something that's just indistinguishable from all the other songs.
Well, yeah, and we've seen this before on some other songs. Talking to you, Blink-182. If they wanted to, he could sing. He could say these words on any one of these songs.
Yes, absolutely.
It's all interchangeable.
I mean, the only other thing really I want to say for this is, why stand on a silent platform, fight the war, fuck the norm. That is repeated until I considered killing myself.
I'm glad you didn't. There's a line in this song where I, for the first time since we started doing this show, earnestly turned to Genius Lyrics for some assistance.
All right.
So I don't know if they're right. The line is, shackled our minds when we're bent on the cross. According to Genius Lyrics, they're saying that religion makes people ignorant to the truth and allows them to continue to remain shackled.
Okay.
Without context, it's really hard to know. I will say, in a shock to no one, this guy who wants cultural revolution is also against organized religion. Which, again, I have no problem with. I also am not super keen on it, but he seems to have found, the least impressive high school poetry way to express it.
Right. I mean, this is a guy that just read his first Noam Chomsky, right?
Yes. But he's a little confused because half of this song, he starts out by saying, stop fighting needless wars around the world. Why are we inflicting violence on others? Which is a message I can get behind.
Yeah.
But then, in the rest of the song, and as we've noted in many other songs, he then goes on to say, we need violence here. Huh? So his messages bring the violence home.
Well, yeah.
That's
Can
right.
one more lyric from this? Yes, I'll display the fitness and flip like a gymnast, raise my fist and resist. The genius annotation here. In lyrics and righteous socio-political thought, De La Rocha displays strength and commitment. He's nimble like a gymnast, so he can flip up from being on his back, from historic marginalization, to standing up and fighting for his rights. And then there is a photo of a gymnast, but it's a Lego gymnast. For some reason, yeah. It's a Lego, like the parallel bars guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a Lego. It's a Lego version of that.
So in case you were confused on what a gymnast was, they were like, oh, I'll add a photo, which is insane. But they couldn't find a person, so they used a toy.
Yeah.
Great. Good work, Genius Lyrics. Nothing weird about that. Moving along. Track number 10, the last one of the album, Freedom. So, I would like to start in the beginning. The very first words of this song are, pump, pump, wah. Do you know what that means, Tim?
I do, because I read the Genius annotation
you,
explaining
man.
what this means.
Well, for those of us listening who didn't spend hours reading the Insights of Idiots, when you hear someone say, pump, pump, wah, you should know you better get ready because shit is about to get real.
That's right, Garrett.
Now, I don't always agree with the folks at Genius Lyrics. Sometimes we don't see eye to eye. I can admit that. But what in the holy fuck, man? Like, he might as well have just said, it means your muffins are done. So this is where we do learn anger is a gift. Yes. I do agree with that.
Yes, and I'm going to get you a t-shirt that says anger is a gift. Really?
It's my gift.
It is your gift, but I need to let everyone that comes in contact with you know what they're about to be in for. It's anger.
How do you do that?
It's lots of anger.
Oh, yeah. It is anger.
It's a warning shirt. This song has one of my favorite lines from any album that we've done so far. And that is because that line starts with, for example, do you remember writing essays in like 9th grade English class where you had to have like, for each paragraph, you had to have a thesis statement and then you had to have a, for example, blah, blah, blah. And
yes, you were talking about a 6th grade persuasive.
Yes.
For example. For the following reasons.
Yes.
This is why we should rebel.
Right. Yeah. This is on the level of somebody who's just trying to write coherently at this point.
Hello, my name is Zedler. I am in the 7th grade and think that cultural revolution is the start of a new democracy. For example, pump, pump, wah.
And every terrible tendency that we have mentioned on previous songs is just dialed up to 11.
Yeah, this is the garbage pail of the album.
Yeah, fuck this song.
It's the perfect cherry on top of a giant diarrhea banana split. Chock full of nuts. It just sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, obviously, the dawn of nu metal, America and nay the world must have turned their backs. How did this album do?
Well, this album did very well. It did. It did. Garrett, a lot of people paid good American hard-earned money for this.
Wow.
So it only peaked at number 45 on the Billboard charts, which sounds bad, but it sold really slowly. It peaked February 1994, so this is a year and a half after it was released. And it stayed on the charts for 94 weeks, so that's just under 2 years.
That's insane.
It eventually went on to sell about 3 million copies in the US alone. And this would be the platform that really launched this band. Their next 2 albums would both hit number 1 on the Billboard charts within like 1 or 2 weeks of their release. This is their start. It sold amazingly well.
Here's what's amazing, and it both helps to explain the popularity and makes me scratch my head. When you and I read the lyrics today, it comes off as juvenile and silly, right?
It does, yes.
Right, like it's some sort of militant poetry by some sort of, goth kid. But I found a story, not from 1992, mind you, from 1997, some 5 years later. And while it's not in the time range we're talking about, I think it's pertinent. And I quote, Rage Against the Machine began headlining a U.S. tour with special guest Wu-Tang Clan. Police in several jurisdictions unsuccessfully attempted to have the concerts canceled, citing amongst other reasons the band's violent and anti-law enforcement philosophies. So, not even in the year it came out, but some 5 years later, people were still scared of the thought-provoking and challenging ideas of one Zedler. What in the fucking hell, man? That completely goes without addressing the fact that, like, last I checked, you can say whatever you want.
Yes. Yeah, that is kind of offensive. But I will say, I mean, again, I own this CD. I had the CD booklet, and with the exception of Killing in the Name, these lyrics were definitely printed in there.
So why in God's name were people getting so hurried up and frightened of these revolutionaries?
I think it's because of the idiots that listened to it.
What do you mean?
Well, idiots that listened to this and thought like, oh man, that guy's onto something. I'm gonna, well, I mean, in 1999, I'm gonna set some cars on fire at a music festival and maybe turn over a porta potty.
Revolution.
Yeah. This album also, in hindsight, it is viewed well. This album was included in the book 1001 Albums to Hear Before You Die. And in 2012, the album was ranked number 365 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Albums of All Time. And it was ranked at number 24 on Rolling Stone's 100 Greatest Metal Albums of All Time.
What in the world?
Yeah, we're apparently wrong. I don't think we're wrong.
So we're not wrong here. So I have said that I like the music. So I'm not going to harp on Zedler. We all know how I feel about that fucking moron. But there's nothing groundbreaking in this music. If it had a normal person actually singing, I still wouldn't listen to it, as evidenced by the lack of success by all of the offshoot bands that these a-holes have actually managed to spawn.
I think that if you're looking at it musically with somebody that's singing, you could compare this to like a Red Hot Chili Peppers, right? You've got your drum and bass.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Right, absolutely. But you've got your drum and bass that are driving the song. You've got a guy that's sometimes singing, sometimes pseudo-rapping. And you've got a guitarist who sometimes he's just fucking around over the drum and bass. Like, that is a way that you can do this sort of thing musically far better than this.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Critics seem to like this. It's sold well.
Of course they did.
Let's talk about Robert Christgau's opinion. Typically, the Robert Christgau game is I will read a review, and then he has given it some sort of crazy grade that doesn't correspond very well to what he's actually written, because what he's actually written maybe is not even about the album.
Or music.
Right. But for this one, unfortunately, we just have a one-sentence review, and then we don't have a grade. So what I would like to do is I want to read you that review, and then I would like you to assign this album a grade.
Okay, I can do that.
Right. He has stated, metal for rap lovers and opera haters. Garrett Harvey. Robert Christgau, what does he think?
He thinks it's an A+.
All right. Robert Christgau gave this album
official.
An A+.
Yep.
Okay.
What about the people, Tim? What do the people say?
So the people generally like this. 84% were positive to 4 or 5-star Amazon reviews. This is a review that I think you'll partially agree with. Killer Funk Metal Riffs. This was written in 2006.
It was written so long afterwards.
Yes. This was written, 13, 14 years after this came out?
God. Proceed.
One thing that knocks it down a notch for me is all the angry rapping. I'm not saying that Tom Morello and Zach De La Rochado do not have legitimate grips about the world around us, but 100% anger is overkill, though it does lend authority to these songs. All the killer funk/metal done in great style, even a nod to the mighty Led Zepp's Kashmir on Wake Up, the outstanding track on this CD. If you have major funk metal Jones like me, you could do much worse.
So this guy largely echoes the sentiments that we have.
Yes, but he has a very different opinion.
Yeah, not only does he enjoy it, he's saying you should spend money on it.
Yes. Here's another one. This is from 2007. An album from the early 90s. Rage paved the way for many of these garbage bands that we have today that sing about Rage may use profanity a lot, but they have to get their point across somehow or else no one would listen to them. Listen to this CD with an understanding of our country and what it's done before you question and expel it. This is the first bomb track, Rage fans.
It's the first song they've ever released as a band.
Yes.
It could only be their first bomb track.
Yes.
They've had no other tracks to bomb.
Here's two. They're each one sentence apiece. The first one from 2015, 23 years after this was released. And you're going to love the title. No issues with this vinyl edition.
No issues with this vinyl edition?
Yes. This person purchased this in 2015 on vinyl. It gets crazier. I tell the story of Thick Duck Tang to my children every time I play this record. That's a bad parent.
Wait, I'm sorry.
I tell the story of Thick Duck Thang, the guy on the front cover.
Yep.
To my children.
The man who set himself ablaze.
To my children every time I play this record.
Okay. Yeah. I hope they're listening. 1, stop playing this record for your own sake. 2, definitely stop playing this for your children's sake. 3, do not have any stories for your children that feature self-immolation.
Well, right. So, but I mean, think about that. Not only is she telling her this story, but she's repeatedly telling this story. Like, you know, your mom or your dad. Did
I ever tell you this story?
Right. Yeah. They have that story. Just every time it's about a man committing suicide by fire. Jesus.
In the most horrible way possible. And then always 2 minutes later, they cremated those bones. I always thought that was odd.
Okay, here's another one that's sort of related. No rage, just happy. This is from 2016. My son picked this out and I got it for him for Christmas. He's very happy with it. How old is that kid? This is not appropriate for children.
I like that he just picked it out, sight unseen.
Right, no, So this is the thing. He saw
this
a picture.
album with the Gentleman on Fire looks pretty good.
Her son's a goddamn sociopath or something.
He's so happy now.
Those are people that liked it. Would you like to hear some thoughts from people that didn't like it?
Boy, would I.
This is from 1998. It's called Repetitive, Uninspiring, and Disappointing. It's from somebody with a geocities.com email address, so... Actually, sorry. I don't like to read out somebody's email address, but this is from 1998. Listeners, please don't email this person. He's got enough problems.
I'm sure he's dead.
This man's email is ubermensch@geocities.com. Jesus Christ.
I hope I don't have to say this. Don't put your email on the internet.
Yeah, and don't also call yourself Ubermensch.
Yeah, probably best not to associate yourself with Hitler's secret super soldier program. I don't suppose you have a super creepy definition for us.
Ubermensch, the ideal superior man of the future who could rise above conventional Christian morality to create and impose his own values.
An atheist?
Yeah.
He defined an Ubermensch basically as an atheist, a man who could rise above Christianity to form his own beliefs.
Also ideally a blonde.
Yeah, that kind of goes without saying.
De La Rocha's yelling is monotonous, and if you make it through the 4th song without pressing fast forward, you're a masochist. Rage ought to study 311 self-titled or Nirvana's Nevermind for albums that have variety and still get the listener pumped. He's recommending 311.
And Nirvana in the same sentence.
Yeah.
That's technically illegal in a couple of states. That's fucking gross, man. Boy, 311, watch out behind you. We are coming.
Rage Against This Machine, a review written in 2000. Horrible communist rock album by political activists turned musicians. This self-titled debut is best seen and not heard. And if you plan on hearing them, I suggest you wear earplugs. If you think watching Children of the Corn is what turns your kids against you, think again. I don't understand the last bit of it. It doesn't really relate.
I don't think anybody's ever watched Children of the Corn and been like, you know what, I'm going to grab a sickle and kill mom and dad.
Okay, here's the most questionable musical tastes of anyone that has ever agreed with us on an album.
Okay.
Most overrated CD of all time. This was written in 2000. How can anyone say this is the best rap metal CD? This is the absolute worst. I bought this CD after seeing excellent reviews at Amazon.com. Boy, I never thought 450 music fans could be rock. I believe he meant to say wrong. This CD is the most overrated CD ever. Never buy this CD. If you want good rap rock, check out Taproot, Linkin Park, or Limp Bizkit.
Taproot!
I don't even know what that is.
What's a taproot? I think that's like a really great burger place in Williamsburg. What is a taproot?
I don't know.
We're coming for you, Taproot.
Yeah, apparently, because if you're in the same conversation as Rage Against the Machine, Linkin Park, and Limp Bizkit, I'm sure we've got an episode for you. Got some free time.
Oh, God.
Find out what this Taproot's all about.
Boy, this guy is a curious case, because it's not new metal enough. The new isn't new enough.
Yeah.
Any other reviews?
No, that's it.
Well, that brings us to not the most important question, but an important question. Tim, who is this for?
Angry young men. Angry young men with little taste, or that have heard very few other albums before.
Yes, that's well put. I've done us a disservice by only bringing this up now, but I have a second theory. You've heard of a boy band?
Yes. Are you going to say this is a man band?
Let me finish. Traditionally, you would say a boy band is largely a female following, right?
Yes.
For girls. I would call this the world's first and most successful boy band. A boy band for boys.
Yeah, That's accurate. Each one has their own persona. You've got the diabetic, you've got the Y2K, you've got the guy that went to Harvard, and you've...
and the musician.
No, that's not true. Or I get the Harvard guy as the musician, I guess. And then you've got the guy.
Yeah, and then you got the guy. Your grunter.
That's awesome. This is a boy band.
Yeah, it's a boy band.
You know what? I might like this band. You might have completely turned me around just with that one phrase.
You want to get Tim back on board with something, add more boys.
See, that... don't care for that.
Yeah, it's a boy band. This is geared towards 11 to 15-year-olds, maybe 16. If you're Garrett, 18, even though I hated this album.
If you're me, like 11 through 18 or so.
Let's call it 21. Let's just make it easy.
Yeah,
Bit of a late bloomer.
Yeah, but when I bloomed, good God, did I bloom.
Everywhere.
I did.
Good God, what happened in here? I apologize, I just bloomed. Oh my God, you're 21 years old. You just bloomed.
I became a man, yes. All right, well, so now we know who it's for. Oh.
Now that we have covered who it is for, final thoughts.
This is technically accomplished for long runs, but it all just sounds the same. It's a record with 10 copies of the same kinda bad song on it. I hate Zedler's vocals. There's brief moments that I genuinely like everything that's happening at once, but those are so fleeting that it doesn't come anywhere close to overcoming just the onslaught of terrible that surrounds them. I was wrong as an 11 to 21. Is that what we're going with? 21-year-old? Yeah.
Just a decade of wrong. The Timothy Richardson story.
That's right.
I couldn't agree more, and I don't want to belabor this any longer than we have. Tim, do you hate this album?
You know, I think I might hate it.
Might hate it?
Yeah.
I can't abide a might.
All right, I'll go full hate. This is bad. It's real bad. Do you hate this?
Yes.
All right. No might about it, folks.
Yeah, being forced to talk about it at the length that we have had to talk about it, and don't worry, folks, we've edited it down. You didn't hear all the parts where we just screamed about it.
Yeah, or your frequent bathroom breaks.
Fuck you. The album as a whole is childish and naive.
Yeah.
I don't know that anything else can be said about it, do you?
No.
Anything else you want to say?
Again, no. What's going on?
I meant in general. Not about the album.
No, I got nothing else going on.
All right. Before we go, a little bit of housekeeping. Folks, we've been getting some messages in the email, and it's great. If, once again, as always, if you have funny stories about these albums, or questions, or corrections, or you just want to write us and tell us how your day's going, that email again is HatePodMail@gmail.com, or if you're not into the whole email thing, you can hit us up on Twitter at AlbumHatePod. I think that's it. This has been Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
Tim Richardson.
The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that we has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.